Hi guys, welcome back to HAG Studios. We are at a time in Jamaica where we celebrate Emancipendence, which is a newly coined word for emancipation and independence. And these two holidays are celebrated within a week. Emancipation is celebrated on the 1st of August and Independence on the 6th of August. Where I'm here with two of my neighbors, and I have Karen here and Delroy here, and we're going to talk a little bit about what emancipation means to us and just go down memory lane a little bit on independence celebrations and what we can recall and what all of this means. So guys, welcome.
Thanks, Faye. Happy to be here.
Good to be here.
Yes, and we are drinking from our hot chocolate from our mugs.
Enamel mugs.
Enamel mugs. Cheers. Let's have some cheers. Come on, cheers with the enamel.
All right. I bought new ones for you guys. But I have my old chippy one.
That's okay.
And that's a real deal, the authentic enamel mug.
A few chips, right?
Yeah.
But tell me, let's talk a little bit more first about emancipation, because that came first. And just what the significance of this. I know you did history, like me, you did history up to A levels.
Yeah.
You said you didn't do history. It was not your favorite subject.
Not my favorite subject at all, but I did it.
Yes, but you did
in high school.
Yeah. The significance of emancipation and what it means for us now. You know, what you think in terms, it was 1834, the proclamation, and then they took another 4 years having the people working for nothing because that suited the planters.
Right, and if I recall that with the proclamation, you recall it was 1840 that it was supposed to end. So there was 4 years for the domestic servants or slaves, and then those who worked out in the field were supposed to work longer. But it didn't go as long as expected because it was not, it wasn't working out. So it ended in 1838. Yes, so the apprenticeship system, as it was termed, ended in 1838.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is after the slavery of about 150 years.
Yes, remember children under from 6 years upwards, they were treated as slaves as well, and even during apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Wow, it's one of these toughest, parts of our history that you have to reconcile with.
About it, I mean, I did history, and just doing the little prep for this.
Yeah,
I had to read more, go back and read some more, and I felt a little, anger. I felt a little anger, Delroy, especially when I realized the planters were compensated so highly, and the slaves were given nothing, and they had to know they were just thrown out.
Yeah, they were thrown out, and some of them were forced to come back and work on the plantation for little and nothing.
Low wages.
Low
wages. Yes. Whatever land they had was, of course, not the best, because the planters already had the best land.
Yes, yes.
So I think emancipation is it's something that should be celebrated.
Yes. And that word was the correct word.
Yes.
Emancipation, freedom, the ability to do what you want to do, as I said, to chart your own path, even though the conditions were rough, but that's why we are who we are today. A strong, resilient set of people. We are known around the world for our can-do-it attitude, fearless, assertive.
Our
Some
slaves,
call
you
it
know,
other
our
things.
slaves were the fighters.
Yes.
The flag.
Rebellious.
Yes,
Yes,
but you know what?
slaves in
Because we
Jamaica.
were coming from, some persons were coming from royalty in Africa, right? And they were never enslaved, even though people might say that they were slaves there. They were not enslaved.
You mean mentally?
Yeah, yeah. So remember, they were tricked, just like how we have the
Modern day slavery.
Thank you. Modern day slavery. Some persons were told they were going for a better life, but it was not so. So some people were just captured because it was a money-making business as well, and sold into slavery, not knowing, leaving your family behind. So that's why I always say the Ghanaians are my family. That's where my ancestors are from. Well, I think so. Or Nigeria, but I think it's more Ghanaian because they say that
It was more
most
Ghanaian.
on here. Right, but these are things, and even, we have so much in common with them. When you listen to a Ghanaian speak, they sound like us. Check it out.
Yes, we have
Check
some of the
it
words
out.
from there. Yeah.
Yes, check it out. But it's I really embrace it, and I think it should be celebrated. It's freedom. We have seen what Jamaicans have done all around the world, the will to fight, that willpower, that I'm going to win. You look at the Shelley and Fraser Price, priceless. And the Usain Bolts and all those who have gone on before and are still representing this day, to the little kids who are running, who are still, they are pushing, and they're going to be the Usains and the Shelleys of the future. Yes. Why?
Well, the emancipation was not just for Jamaica. It was for the entire Caribbean. At least the British Caribbean, the British colonies.
British colonies,
right.
Correct.
And one of the things I was reminded of when I was doing the research, and I was talking to Delroy about it today, is that they were compensated. The planters were compensated.
It was 20 million pounds.
20 million pounds in 1834.
Wow.
That's a lot of money. And the idea was that they're being compensated for the loss of property.
I'm telling you, and just remember that the slaves were property. You are my property. Slaves were chattels.
Being born free, it's hard to conceive the situation that our ancestors were in terms of slavery, not free to move about. I've been free to move about ever since I was born. So it's really hard to conceptualize. They were thought of being somebody's property. Yeah. To be out of the boat, to do their bidding without pay.
To work for so many hours, because I found out also that
45-hour work week.
No, well, or 18 hours per day.
18 hours per day.
More than 45. So they'd probably work from
Yes,
dawn,
you're correct. They got up early.
To night.
That's more like night.
And then if they even stop and rest a little bit, somebody there to whip them.
And I'm imagining the children 6.
Yes.
And you say you have to get up, you have to go, and you're out in the hot, broiling sun.
Yeah.
Yes? And, which is one of the reasons why, one of the things you learn, and as you, having a conscience, compassion, think about the child laborers now, and how we are, very complicit in some parts of the world in thinking that it is fine to do that, it's not right. So freedom for me is about all of those things. What freedom represents, it's a gift for us. And let us not forget our forefathers who fought, for freedom. So Sam Sharp to me is the man. Sam Sharp is the man. And those who went on before, they weren't as, they probably weren't as educated as Sam Sharp, because he was an intelligent man and he was learned too. But think about the nannies who decide that, hey, this thing is not right, so we're going to give them a fight.
Paul Bogle was my
Paul
hero.
Bogle.
Yes.
Because I remember when he saw the man being was arrested, and he just his spirit couldn't take it. He had to fight.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
think
I like-
that
yeah, I
is
like
one
Paul
to do.
Bogle too.
I think I have
Yeah.
the spirit of Paul Bogle.
Yeah.
Paul
yeah.
Bogle was the one who walked from Stony Gut to Spanish
Yeah,
Town
man.
Square. He's the man. Yes, he's the man.
That's the
And
man
remember,
for me.
George William Gordon, you know,
Yeah,
was
he
the
was
two of them were a
also
part of that
very
whole
involved.
period. Yes, so you really have to respect them for standing up for something that's wrong, and you are going against the status quo. Because you remember with Emancipation Day that the governor, even though the governor was there, you know, Lord Sligo, we said, or Governor Sligo eventually. Governor Sligo couldn't call the shots because you had the big West India plantation owners who were the bosses and really directed things. But the fight that the slaves put up, the others in England who pushed through, the Wilberforces, you know, Buxton, Sir Buxton. So if you know about the early free villages, they are named for those men who stood with them and realized that it was wrong and was willing to put themselves out there for them.
So it's great that we now celebrate, because you know we used to celebrate emancipation before.
Yes.
That was stopped in 1962, and we started celebrating
yes, correct.
just independence.
Okay.
Then
Yes.
in 1997 it was
returned.
right,
Yes,
and
which was a good
think
thing.
it's important that we celebrate. And I think we need to stop. We need to tell our children. We need to not just have these holidays be
Yes. Yes. Very paganistic,
yes, or
and you know,
is a day
libations
to relax.
and
Yes,
almost
it's-
like a church
yeah,
day.
yeah.
But for what? The divinity and the
Yes.
spiritual part of it is not there, but it's a day to acknowledge our forefathers and what it
and
means.
what they went through,
Correct.
and
Yes.
why we are now emancipated and what that means.
Yes.
So I'm happy for emancipation, and just having done a little preparation for this and being reminded, I'm
Yes.
even more happy because I did A-levels, history up to A-levels, and I'd kind of forgotten. And maybe I'm looking at it in a different way now. I'm older.
Yes,
so
with
I'm
more
looking at it in a
wise
different-
eyes.
Yes. So
Yes.
yeah, but we can't take it lightly. We need to tell our children what is emancipation, what our ancestors went through. Every time I pass a cane field and I see that cane field and I know cane scratch your skin, you can imagine how much those people's skin was scratched up and things.
This sounds like a TikTok moment. You
Yeah.
need to do a little quick video on this. Let the people know, let the kids
Yes.
know.
They
Yeah.
need to know.
Yes,
We need
yes.
to know. And we need to remind
Yes,
ourselves and not
yes,
take it so
yes.
lightly.
Yes.
And under that explains a lot of what we are going through now in terms of what we have to do to advance, because
Yes.
we were left with
No
nothing.
silver spoon. Yes.
We were given nothing.
Yes, we never
And
got
our
it.
parents had to, and grandparents, because some of us, it will go back to our grandparents.
Yeah.
They had to kind of fudge through.
Yes, very
and
true.
thing, yeah.
Yes, as a matter of fact, some of them went away at the turn of the century, because I gathered that my great-great-grandfather, he worked in London. He worked on the some plantation there. And guess who it was owned by? The Lloyds of London family, before that
The same
era became a
banking
town
people.
in Birmingham. Yes, and so you can see the connection. People had to go off to find living, because as the times change, the needs change. So the different production, the shift, you know, we started in, you know, buying, importing things. The farms, they didn't have the capital to do what they had to do. So he, being a child with parents coming out of the plantation, slavery, yeah, that's what he had to do. In 1920, he
And
was
they're
living in
now
England.
going back to
working.
England to help England, and a lot of the money
Ah.
from the plantation went to England to build England.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and then you
They
have
built England.
yes, and then they were not treated that well,
Right.
and we know of the Windrush
Yes.
generation
Yes.
and
Yes.
everything.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so it's important to not take Emancipation Day lightly.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's so good to know your history.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So this is so appreciated. Thanks
Yeah.
for really
Let's drink
getting
some
us on this.
chocolate
Yes,
tea to
yes,
that.
yes, and let us cheers and respect to our ancestors who fought
Yes.
so boldly and dearly for us.
Yeah. It was on these steps, the old King's House building, where on the 1st of August 1834, the Emancipation Proclamation was read. The slaves would not be free for another 4 years, however, because there was an amelioration or apprentice period to appease the planters. So the slaves became free 4 years later in 1838. The planter class throughout the British colonies were compensated £20 million at that time for the loss of their property. The slaves received nothing. All right,
Yes.
so now we're gonna talk about independence or independence.
Independence, of course. Keeping it authentic.
Right. So that was in 1962. I was a little girl, so I know you guys weren't born.
No, definitely not.
I was very small, so you weren't
Yes.
born. And I have some interesting memories of, I still remember the floats past in my house.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get to go to Christiana.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in Christiana. But my older siblings, I know they were all dressed up and sing, and they went to the activities in Christiana.
Yeah.
And I remember, but I still have vague memories of the floats passing. And that's a significant thing. I don't like when I hear people talk about the good old days, because they were not good for everyone. And independence to me is significant. Making that break from the colonial master.
Past, yes.
Well, that initial break, because we still have more break to make.
Yes, yes, yes.
But I remember, did you have fairs at your school when you
Oh,
were
yes,
going?
yes. I went to primary school to a little rural community that I was from, named Lantry Gardens.
Oh, really?
And I mean, they have produced a
That's
lot
in
of...
St. Anne.
In St. Anne, of course, the Garden Parish.
And you were in...
I'm from a district called Longwood in Clarendon.
In Clarendon.
Deep
Yes.
South.
Deep South, okay.
Yes. But what I can remember was that the community was very engaged, and so activities as usual is always around school, church, and you'll have the big shop in the community, and we had a couple squares, you would call it. So there, once it came around to independence or emancipation, firstly schools always had fair, right? So, and there were certain things that were a part of it. Once you break up, school breaking up, you have the school fair, and you have all the was it the merry-go-round they used to call it? They would have merry-go-round, And I remember that
maypole dancing.
Yes, the maypole dancing, and it was a little different, but we thought it was so great. And then, you know, you get all the nice goodies, the greater cake, the asham, all the drops, all of those nice things were there. And I do recall too.
Did you know, did you know snow cone?
Oh yes, yes. So right, so which is why I remember those goodies. Those were the nice things that you used to get till it went to sky juice later on, where you got the plastic bag and it squeeze the colored thing into with the ice and it shaved ice. The shaved ice thing was something else.
Yes.
And also later on they had cotton candy as well. But
they also had ice cream, you know.
Oh yes, ice cream was
the bucket that you would turn.
Correct.
To make ice cream.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
But one of the things I remember for festival at that time, when I was growing up, was that there was always something about what is wearing. I remember I used to hear my
so
mother
true.
say,
Black and white
wearing
polka
for
dot.
festival. You don't remember that?
I remember that vividly.
Festival and those activities were not a part of our schedule. In my family, once school was out for the summer, we were shipped away to our grandparents in deep country, deep rural country to work on farms.
Really?
With our grandparents, and we did not return.
So where was that?
This was up in the hills of St. Catherine, a place called Cool Shade.
Cool Shade.
And at the time there was no running water in the pipe, and there was no electricity, so there was no street lights.
So you had radio?
I can't recall. There was probably a radio in the house, but we had no control of it. We would just listen to what was being played. Of course, our grandparents would have control of that. So we weren't au fait with the festival celebrations and activities at that time, because we were deep rural, working on farms.
Okay, that was child labor, you know. But you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
And it helps to build you. That's why you have such a great character now.
Yes, and probably physique too, you know, because you realize you're stronger. You know, you have built strong muscles and so on. They're going up the hill,
you had to walk,
and so on.
or run everywhere you wanted to go.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, Christiana was a little bit more cosmopolitan.
I think so. But we were close to Brownstone, although it was far. But you could get. I remember Mr. Watson, Mr. Ferdy. Growing up, he had a bus, and so you know the bus would run certain times. So, but once you go to supermarket, Mr. Ferdy, and he knew everybody, so everybody had to get home. You know. Luckily for us, as went along. I mean, I grew up in a household I grew up with my grandmother up to a certain point. But what happened? There were adults in the house, so you know there was vehicle. Yeah, my uncle would have vehicle, and you know, I remember that. You know, we always had a chance when there was fear, like Independence. His wife, by this time we were, bigger kids, but she would never leave us out. So when Independence came along, what was wearing? She had all of that.
Is that a polka dot or stripe or calico and bandana?
Ah, yes, and certainly Gwen would really, so we were very aware of that.
We have too much occupying us now.
Yeah.
We wear what we want to wear now.
Yeah.
But
it was
nice.
cool.
It was a kind of unifying
I think
thing
it was really nice,
when you go to a function, you go to the fair and everybody in polka dot.
Yeah. And you feel a part, and
yes,
you feel you're very confident with it too.
Experience.
It was. I think fashion and style was very important during those times.
Yes.
Well, those were key things that you look forward to. What you're wearing. You're wearing pants. It was pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then we had because my community, although it was far from Brownstone, but the thing is that was a town where you would shop and everything. So you see, on the Saturday now. You had some wicked people, I call them named John Kunu. Where if you get the opportunity to go to into the town, go on a Saturday, you were able to see them because that's the time they would come out. And what I realized after a while they dance, they were getting, people would drop money, and and entertain. So for them, once I saw them, hey.
Suppose I tell you I'm still afraid of them.
No, man. All the horse head, man.
The horse head.
The horse head there.
Yes.
But with the
man.
That was scary.
And they always coming up
and the
to
river
you.
mama.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a river mama in there. But What
Pitchy Patchy was
Pitchy
my
Patchy was,
favorite.
but you see, they used to scare the kids, and I think they took pleasure in doing that. But I really like the excitement going into the town, and then there was Addison Park. So like holiday time now, they used to have shows there.
Okay, we can't talk about independence celebration and reflect on independence celebration when we were growing up without talking about the festival songs. Because that was such a big thing at that time. You know, we'd learn all the words, we'd sing them. Now we don't even remember the festival songs.
The festival songs were played on the radio over and over again. And not just in the year that it was released,
but all the songs.
But for several years to come, because I remember my favorite festival song was Cherry O, Cherry O Baby.
Eric Donaldson.
Yes, and that came out in 1971 when I was born.
Okay.
So of course I wouldn't have known or recognized that song then. But it was my favorite song. That means it was playing years after. Because when I was a child with sense, I could recognize that song.
Yeah.
And I knew it, and it became my favorite, and has been my favorite ever since. Cherry O Baby, Eric Donaldson.
Yeah.
To this day, it still resonates with me.
I like it too, even though I always wondered whether it was a true festival song.
And it doesn't say anything about festival,
Jamaica
really.
Jamaica,
but there's something about that song and the music and the way it was delivered. It just epitomize what festival should sound like.
Right.
Yeah, it has a sound.
Yes, it had the sound.
It had the sound.
Yeah. What was yours?
I liked Rascarby's Country Life?
Country Life.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have two that I think back to when I was small. Baba Boom Boom. I think it started in 66 and this is 67.
67.
And I still remember coming from school with my friends and we singing Baba
Festival
Boom Boom. You know it because during independence they would play all of these songs.
Yeah. Especially the winners.
Yeah.
Especially the winners.
I also liked one which I think wasn't a winner. I don't know if it was that same year, but it was UNITY is Unity.
Mm-hmm.
And then more recent, 2000, Stanley.
Oh!
Stanley and Afiwi Island Taboo.
Island Taboo.
Yeah.
I mean, Stanley's an icon in festival music.
Yes. So I really enjoyed that. But it's almost like we have lost a lot of that. We hardly know what the songs are. I think it's because we are so much more preoccupied now, you think?
Not only that, there are so many more songs and so much more radio stations and options to listen to.
Yes.
So it gets lost.
But they should all be playing them. They just don't play them enough.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. But the festival song was an important part of independence.
Yes, it has become a part of the independence culture.
Yes.
And I think we should keep it.
Yes.
We should, and we should
and keep it
maybe
strong.
resurrect it a little bit, because I hardly remember the songs for the last maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Sad.
yes, I agree. Yes, and this one for 2023 is a hit.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
And
yes.
I'm not even familiar with it.
I don't even know what it is
I'm not
yet.
even familiar with this
So
one.
we are best in the world.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
What about Denbigh? Did you guys go to Denbigh?
I knew about Denbigh.
You only heard about it while you're up in the...
And there was a fee to get in.
Yeah.
So for our family, somehow that was a concern, and it was a lot of us as kids.
Oh.
And it was 11 of us. So there was no
Chance
there was no going to Denbigh.
No going to
There
Denbigh.
was no going to Denbigh first, but we knew it was happening.
Okay.
But we never went.
Okay. Can I tell you about my experience at Denbigh? I went to Denbigh when I was about 10 years old. No, I was coming from Christiana.
It's cool.
Where it is cool. I have never felt a place so hot. My mother's friend and our neighbor, Sister Copeland, she was a sister at the hospital. And she was taking her children, and wherever she's going with her children, she would always pull me along because her daughter and I were very close. And I went to Denbigh and I said, I have never felt a place so hot.
Wow, it's true.
And I
It was
remember
hot.
standing at one
it's
side
hot.
waiting for her to come. And she would not stop looking at the cows and the goats and all sort of things. And the food, nicely laid out, I'm sure. And I'm just saying, I need to go home. And I made a pledge then that I will never go back.
So at 10 years old, there was nothing there to interest you.
I don't know if
The
there
heat
was
was
power
more,
things,
probably.
but I just couldn't take the heat. And you know, I only returned to Denbigh about 5 years ago.
Wow, that's like a 40-year break.
It's much more than 40.
Yeah. And she did miss out, you know, because for me it
You
was
went,
such an
you-
experience for us to go, you know, go far because
Yes.
that was not the norm, you know. So
That's from Alexandria?
from St. Anne, no. Well, Alexandria is a couple miles from where we live, you know.
Okay.
But for
so
me, going to Denbigh was a real outing. It's like you're going
that
to
would be a
Kingston.
far drive.
Yes, but we would drive all the way, and it was such an excitement because
So
you know the
drive to
parking.
Cave Valley and go
Yes,
across.
and come
Cave
right
Valley
up.
and
So we
through
come up, yes,
Spalding's and then
yes,
go.
yes.
That wouldn't be so far then.
It
Yeah.
wasn't so far, but you know you had to drive long. It was a long drive, just
It
the
was a
same.
long drive.
But it was a very scenic drive. But for me, the excitement to get there, you know, then when you got there, now there's this place where you have to park, and you know
I
you have
remember.
to take up everything that you have because you can't go back. And you know, what I found, as you mentioned about the heat, yes, it was hot there, but you couldn't find anywhere to sit. That was a problem for me.
Yes.
There was nowhere
I
to
was
sit.
standing
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the side, waiting and
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah, so that was it. But I really liked the variety of things that were there, and I was very familiar about the Red Pole, you know, Bullard and so on, and Sereleki. Those it's
Yes.
funny that I had an interest in knowing who, you know,
Yes.
learning more, and I think I took that with me, and I enjoyed the plant, you know, all the foliage and everything that was going on. And then they had some stalls, or what you call, where they sold chicken and jerk, whatever they were, and that was my little place. You know, glad to go get the food.
Okay.
You know.
But you enjoy Denbigh then, and you
Yes,
still go to Denbigh. You
yes,
like
I
Denbigh. And
continue
it's a nice place to
the
go.
the
And there are
tradition.
more trees there now. You
Thank
can
God.
shade on the trees. I
Yeah,
think.
well, that's good
But
to
it
good to
wasn't-
hear.
It wasn't my experience as a child to go to Denbigh. But,
But you have
now that
you
I'm
go
older,
now.
Yeah.
I go and I take my family and I take my
Yes.
kids, and they enjoy the scenery and they enjoy looking at the animals
Yes.
and the whole arrangement of
The
of-
displays
of,
are
yes,
really
of
nice.
ground provisions and stuff. It's really nice.
It was a nice little reminiscing
Certainly.
of growing up in Jamaica and looking back at the years. Yeah,
And the independence and what it now means
what it now
Yes.
means.
going forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
I think we have shown a lot of growth since independence. the
Right.
country. There are some positives. Of course, there are some negatives, but I think there are more positives than negatives.
Well, I mean, Jamaica has made a name for itself in
Yeah.
many areas.
Yeah.
And places you go in the world, they're surprised when they come to see that Jamaica is such a small place.
Yeah.
Because Jamaicans in the diaspora are doing so much big things that you would think they're from a much bigger place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have made our mark in sports and culture. Also in education, we really give to other parts of the world as well. You think about our teachers and our nurses, they are some of the best around the world. And even my mom, she left here a trained teacher, but she went over and she became a nurse. And if you go anywhere around the world, whether in the US,
Everywhere.
England, they are all there shining and doing their part.
This has been a nice little time with both of you.
Thank you, Faye.
I just
Yes,
love
it
having
was a pleasure.
neighbors, such good neighbors.
It's a
So
pleasure.
I just want to say thanks.
Yeah, ditto.
Actually, and chocolate
Cheers.
tea.
To the chocolate
Yes.
tea.
Drink to the chocolate tea. thank you guys for watching, and for the Jamaicans who are watching this, I hope this was a good time of reflection for you and reminiscing. And for those who are not Jamaicans, I hope you also found it informative and entertaining. Thanks again for watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.